The restaurant glowed with warm golden light as evening crowds filled every table. Soft piano music floated through the air, mixing with quiet conversations and clinking glasses. For most customers, it was just another pleasant dinner. For Ethan Miller, it was another double shift he needed to survive. He adjusted his apron and glanced at the clock. 3 more hours. His legs ached, his back felt tight, but quitting early was never an option. Lily would be waiting at home with her homework spread across the kitchen table, pretending she wasn't sleepy just so she could see him when he walked in. Ethan picked up a tray and headed toward table 17. That's when the voice sliced through the calm atmosphere. "Hey, are you blind or what?" Every head turned. A woman in a navy designer suit sat with her arms crossed, irritation burning in her sharp eyes. Her expensive handbag rested on the chair beside her like a symbol of authority. She looked powerful, confident, used to being obeyed. Ethan approached calmly. "Is everything okay?" "Ma'am, I asked for almond milk latte," she snapped. "This is regular milk." "I'm sorry about that," Ethan said gently. "I'll replace it immediately." She scoffed loudly. "Of course you will. Why is it always the simplest things you people mess up?" The words stung, but Ethan swallowed his reaction. He nodded respectfully and turned back toward the counter. Behind him, a few customers exchanged uncomfortable glances. At the coffee station, Ethan carefully remade the drink. His hands moved steadily, but his thoughts drifted to Lily's school trip payment due tomorrow. He counted every tip, every hour, every dollar. Mistakes were expensive. He returned to the table and placed the corrected cup gently in front of her. "Here you go. Almond milk latte." She took one sip and slammed the cup back onto the saucer. "This is lukewarm." "It was freshly made," Ethan replied softly, "but I can warm it again if you'd like." Her voice rose sharply. "I don't have time for your excuses. Do you know how busy I am?" The restaurant grew quieter. Ethan felt dozens of eyes on them. Still, he kept his tone calm. "I'll fix it right away." She leaned forward, glaring. "Unbelievable. People like you never get anything right?" That sentence landed differently, not because it was cruel, but because it echoed years of silent judgments Ethan had endured. People who didn't know he once studied engineering before his wife passed away. People who didn't know he sold his car to cover hospital bills. People who didn't know every late night, every aching muscle, every forced smile was for one small girl who called him her hero. He stood there for a moment longer than usual. Then he looked directly at her. "Ma'am," he said calmly, "please don't speak to me that way." Her eyes widened slightly. "What did you say?" "I'm happy to correct any mistake," Ethan continued, "but I deserve respect like anyone else." A tense hush spread across the dining room. She laughed sharply. "Respect?" From a waiter. Ethan didn't flinch. "Yes," he replied simply. Her smile vanished. "You're getting bold now. Do you know who you're talking to?" Ethan held her gaze. "I know I'm talking to a customer, and I'm a person." She leaned back in her chair, clearly offended. "I'm Vanessa Hartman, CEO of Hartman Innovations. I employ over 5,000 people. You pour coffee?" A few nearby diners whispered her name. Power shifted in the air. Ethan nodded slightly. "That's impressive." She smirked. "Then act like you understand your place." That was the moment. Not anger, not pride, just truth. Ethan took a quiet breath and said the sentence that changed everything. "Power doesn't give anyone permission to forget kindness." The room froze. The piano music seemed suddenly too loud. Vanessa stared at him as if no one had ever spoken to her that way before. "What did you just say?" she demanded. Ethan repeated calmly, "Power doesn't give anyone permission to forget kindness." Silence pressed against every table. Even the staff paused mid-step. Something in Vanessa's expression shifted, confusion mixed with irritation. Then something softer beneath the surface. "You think you can lecture me?" she snapped weakly. Ethan shook his head. "No, I'm reminding you." Her jaw tightened. She opened her mouth to respond, then stopped. No words came. For the first time, the powerful CEO had nothing to say. A middle-aged man nearby slowly nodded. A young couple exchanged impressed looks. Vanessa looked around and realized the room wasn't on her side. Her authority had evaporated in one calm sentence. She stood abruptly. grabbed her purse, and said tightly, "Just bring the drink." Ethan nodded and quietly replaced it. The rest of her meal passed in strained silence. When she left, she avoided eye contact, but the story didn't end that night. 2 days later, Ethan was called into the manager's office, his stomach twisted with worrying. The manager smiled gently. "You're not in trouble." Ethan exhaled in relief. "She contacted us again," the manager continued. "She asked for your name." Ethan's heart skipped. "Why?" "She wanted to apologize." Ethan blinked in disbelief. She said no one had ever spoken to her like that, without fear or anger. She realized she had forgotten how to treat people. The manager slid an envelope across the desk. Inside was a generous bonus and a handwritten note. "Thank you for reminding me who I used to be." That evening, Ethan brought home Lily's favorite pancakes. As they ate together, she smiled brightly. "Daddy, you look happy today." He smiled back. "Sometimes standing quietly makes the biggest noise." She giggled. "That doesn't make sense." Ethan chuckled softly. "One day it will." And somewhere in a boardroom across the city, a powerful CEO carried a lesson from a waiter she would never forget. Because sometimes the strongest voice in the room speaks the softest truth.